things regarding which out of which one is marks, and the other being number of students from a particular city or the highest number of marks. These are the two things that you have taken to into consideration for the maximum variable. So this particular topic, which is lecture 2.4, covers a separate new this is a new ideology behind behind taking a final decision on the value of maximum variable. So let us see how is that possible. Even we generally dealt with only these things which is rather done by which is done by everybody in general. So let us take some rare cases where there are more number of observations, and our sole aim is to find out the maximum out of the total number of observations or cases that are given to us. Now let us take this example of shopping bills. Think that there is a shopping store, SV stores, Big Bazaar, Sun General, and this is a student mall, exclusively for students. Student mall, yeah. And now let us think that there are 40 of us. There are 40 students. This is one of an example. I mean, okay, a better case for explaining. Yeah, fine. And now let us think that there are 10 students. It is not mandatory that, yeah, okay, let us say there is only one visit but not repeated visits. Out of the first visit to the shopping store, we find that 10 students went to shop in SV stores and 5 students went to shop in Big Bazaar and 12 to Sun General. What is the remaining then? 13, right? So 13 went to student mall. So this is the maximum thing. This is the maximum. These are the variables which carry particular values of visits of students. So out of these, we have 4 out of here. I mean, we have 4 variables here, which is one for SV stores, and one for Big Bazaar, and one for Sun General, and one for student mall. Out of these 4, we need to keep updating each and every variable. Let us say the first student visited SV stores, second student visited Big Bazaar, third student visited SV stores, fourth student visited student mall. So what do we need to do in our iteration process? In our iteration process, similar to the flowchart, we need to pick the first card out of the pile, and then we need to check the shop name, x.shop name. X.shop name, we need to check this field here, and we need to increment the particular value of the variable that are declared by us. As the first student has visited SV stores, we increment it by +1, and rather we need to make it sure that all of them are initialized to 0. This is the main concept. All these variables should be initialized to 0 before beginning our process of iteration and concluding on the variable max. And now, as we found that the first student has visited SV stores, we incremented it by 1, +1, and thereafter the second student, he visited Big Bazaar, and again we are adding a +1 to the Big Bazaar. And now the third student has visited SV stores again. So in total, SV stores is another +1, and now student mall is visited by fourth student, +1. So we need to increment student mall as well. Whereas in our previous cases, or in our previous examples of finding max in a single iteration or double iteration, we only updated the variable max marks. This is the variable that we kept updating upon our iteration process. In our iteration process, as we counted the marks card which carried a higher weightage in every subject. So in this particular example, the primary step is to assign variables SV, SG, BB and SM all to zeros, and thereafter we need to increment them individually but not all of them whenever we find a particular card. Say for example, if we find SV stores, we need to increase the count of SV by 1, and similar the similar is applicable for every variable as well. SG is equal to SG plus 1, BB is equal to BB plus 1, and student mall is equal to student mall plus 1. We need to do this, we need to carry out these operations whenever we find a card relevant to its visit. And now, after having completely read the 40 cards of students, we have a list of 4 things, which are SV store's final result, SG's Sunranjal, Sun General, Big Bazaar, and Student Mall. Like in this example, we got the results to be 10, 5, 10, 5, sorry, it is 10, 5 and 13, 10, 5, 12, 13. So out of these 4 variables, please make note of this point, students. Here we are incrementing only these variables. These variables are being incremented here, but not the shop having maximum visits. That's not being incremented, but only these variables, these 4 variables are being incremented whenever we find a suitable result or appropriate result which is relevant to the particular shop name. So now, as we have the final 4 results, what should we do right now? In order to get the maximum thing, we need to compare them. We need to compare the results among these 4. So max visit is by 0 by default here. So what do we need to do here? We need to compare. We need to put them in ascending or descending orders. SV is less than SG is less than SM. Big Bazaar has the least count, 5, 10, 12, 13. So this is what finding maximum in single iteration of multiple variables refers to. Now in brief, I'll just explain you the lecture 2.4 in short, but in a brief manner. In this particular example, we have taken the shopping bills dataset, which is also done the same by IIT Madras professors. We know that there are 4 stores. I mean, let us say that there are. Let us be generic for this example. If there are n number of stores, we have to maintain n number of variables, not only stores, but n number of quantities or n number of entities rather. We can say them to be entities. Now we need to maintain n entities for the n variables, or I mean n variables for n entities rather, and we need to assign the highest among the final results that are carried out by, or the final results that are maintained by the n variables among the n variables. We need to assign the final the greatest result among those n variables to the variable max here. So what is max here? Max is 0 by default. As we had compared them to one another, we found that max holds the value to be 13, and it is the count of student mall. Am I clear with this example, students? Any doubts with this particular topic of lecture 2.4? You're open to ask. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now we'll be moving on to the next topic. Yeah, fine. Our next topic is like there is one note which is very important here to be remembered by all of you, but now like it is very much essential in the qualifier exam. Using this lecture, the next lecture has been designed. That's the basic thing that all of us know. But the only difference between this lecture and lecture 2.5 is that we can individually find out. We can also find out the highest bill amount of each and every shop. Let us say now we had discussed about visits, right? This example was based on visits. So let us say that there is another example in which we deal about the maximum shopping bill. So in this case we find out the bill amount. This is, let us say, item, cost, quantity, and now here comes price. Here at the end of the bill we find out the total amount that has been spent by the student. Let us say it is 7k. In this similar format it is present for all the shops. So in this case we compare the shopping bills of each and every shop. In this case we can easily find the let us say SV stores, let us say that the maximum bill is somewhere around 20k. Let us say that the student has bought some mobile or something. It's irrelevant to us. So let us say that SV stores, before concluding the final result of 20,000, we must have read all of these results as well. Am I right? We must have known the shopping bills of SV stores, SG store, BB and SM malls. So using this particular lecture 2.5, 2.5 has been stressed more on finding the individual scores also. In using this 2.5, you will be able to find out the maximum bill of SV stores. You can find out the bill which had the maximum amount which had the maximum amount, total amount, and the similarly is applicable for Sun General and Big Bazaar and Student Mall. This is what 2.5 is completely dependent about. In order to save time, we'll just move on to the lecture 2.6, which deals about max in a single and two iterations. What does this sounds strange, right? So let us think about this in much more depth. I mean in more detail. Let me change the color of pen. Okay. Now our topic is about max in red is either negative. Let us go with yellow. Max in a single, right? Single and two iterations. This is what the present topic of lecture 2.6 is. So how do we what is the finding max in a single and double iterations? This word must be tricky, like finding max in a single and two iterations. Why did we combine single and two here? Are they different or are they same or are they nested or something? You must be getting all such kinds of doubt by when we combine these two terms here. So let us deal with an example. You can understand much better with when I explain you all with an example. Now let us take a word. Let us take words data set here. Words data set. Let us say that our particular sentence is something like, my name is XYZ. My height is somewhere. Here you need to put your height. Let us take three sentences here. My age is, put your age here. So here, what do we need to do in order to find out max here? So in order to find out max, we just need to we need to go through each and every word which is similar like we had done in all the previous cases and examples as well. So our first word is my, second is name is XYZ, again my, height is, and again my, age is. That's it. Now what do we need to find out here? We need to find out the variable max here. Our aim is to find out the value of max. So can someone guess the value of max here? Let us find it. My is 1. If we go on like letter as our particular example is very short enough, that is it has 3 sentences. We can do it manually, like we can find out by just reading the words as well. The first word is my, it holds a value 1, name 1, is 1, xyz 1, my 1, height 1, is 1, my 1, age 1, is 1. So we need to add up the five. Now we need to find out the common words, which are, I mean, we need to find out the words which are repeated, which occur very frequently. Like here, my has been repeated for 1 time, 2, 3, and again. Did name repeat any other time? No. Name repeated only for 1 time. My holds a value 3. Name 1 time. What about is? 1, 2, 3. XYZ 1 time, and height height also holds the value 1, and age holds the value 1 again. When we see that most frequently repeated words are hello, yeah,
Sir, is also repeated 3 times.
yeah, we are coming to that only. the word my has been repeated for 3 times, and is 1, 2, 3. Oh, I did not cross it. That's why I made a mistake. Okay. Is also repeated for 3. So in this case, we have two words which are repeated for the maximum number of times, 3, and they are my and is. As we did this entire process in a single iteration. See, we did not look back any time. We just went with the flow, right? If you remember, I did not look back while I did not look back while I was explaining you this particular example. We went on writing these names. We went on writing the words that are present in the that are present in the paragraph. When combined these 3 sentences in together, it is a paragraph, right? We went on writing down the words present in the paragraph, and as a final result, in order to get the final result out of these words, we came about to calculate the sum if there are any repeated words. So this is this entire thing from here to here. We came in a single flow. Therefore, it is one iteration. Am I clear? Any doubts, anybody? Hello? Am I clear?
No doubt.
Yeah, fine. And now, in what cases do we say that? In what cases do we say in 2 iterations? Now, let us take the same example again, or let us take a different example. Okay. Let us take my favorite game is cricket. This is the first sentence. And the second sentence, let us take that to be my favorite cricket player is. What do you guys say? Let us take some again. Let us say that it's also XYZ. We don't have any player with the name XYZ in this so far. And my bat is manufactured by SS. And now I represented my state. Now let's not go that far. I represented my district in cricket. Let us say that these are the 4 sentences that we have right now. As this particular series going on between India and Australia, I had to take this example to make you much interesting about this case or scenario. And now, in more iterations, what do we need to do here? We need to initially we need to read the first sentence over here. What is the first sentence? And this is a general trick which is not much explained or discussed about by anybody others. And now we need to maintain my favorite game is cricket. Now we need to check out these number of these words if they are repeated again in the remaining part of sentence. We see that my has been repeated again, so my is 2. Favorite has been repeated again. Game has been repeated once. Is 1, 2, 3. And cricket is 2, right? So this is we can rather say this to be maintaining. We can declare these these 5 things. These 5 words to be counters. This has been discussed of maintaining counters, but this particular thing which I am telling right now is it's very familiar to some students only. We should read the first sentence of the paragraph in order to make sure that we can create a better counter. Like we can initialize the counter with the continued variable, like the continued count. Instead of going with again, if we say, we let us think that we create counters for this entire sentence. I mean for this entire paragraph. Then we need to move on with from here till here at a single stretch. So that makes the work so hectic as well. So my suggestion is that you first read this. Reading the first sentence would give you a better example. You need to mark them down on the paper, and you need to compare these words present in the first sentence, and this better saves your time as well. And if you find any new word, write it at some distance so that you can find it later on. Like we saw the word like bat. Just write the words which have been repeated once, like bat, game, represented something. Okay, so this is what actually max in a single and two iterations is. We need to maintain counters to avoid confusion, right? So let us say if there are no counters, let us think that let us say that we do not have this particular information of maintaining counters and increment is in hurry or something, or let us think that there is some technique. Yeah, let us take some human cause only, human error, which is hurriedness. Here we got my ones, 2, 3, 4. Let us say the ones who is counting this particular count related to maximum is in a hurry. Let us think that he got my count. Hello.
The screen is not visible. Is it anyone else or just me?
All of us.
Yes, sir. The screen is not visible.
Yeah, is it
Yeah, it's now
visible
visible.
now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Up to where did you all were able to see the screen? Like I had explained till now, no? If you tell me up to where you observed the screen, from there I'll continue my point again. Hello? Okay, fine, then I'll start it again. If there is no binding, like you all heard the explanation, right? Then you must be able to get some rough idea of what has been taught till now.
Like we saw till the point like you added a new word each time. New counter each time a new word was added.
Yeah, fine. My suggestion is to read the first sentence. My favorite game is cricket. This is what the first sentence is, right? So once you finish reading the first sentence, I personally suggest you to compare or to find out the number of times every word in the first sentence got repeated in other sentences of the given paragraph. Like you won't be given a paragraph in case if you are given in the qualifier, it is very rare to be done so. So in that case, you just need to start counting the number of repetitions of words that are present in the first line or the first sentence in the remaining words of paragraph. Here you can see that my has been repeated 4 times, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not this. And favorite has been repeated twice, and game once. Is has been repeated thrice, and cricket 2. Cricket is 2, right? 1 and 2. So the main point of comparing your first sentence with other sentences is that you need not move on. Like in the previous example, we went from the first point to last point at a single stretch. If you move like that, I mean, if you go on making things like that, there is a possibility of making a mistake, because you might miscalculate the count. Say for example, you do not have much time, and the time of qualifier is also being completed. So the main thing here is, yeah, what? Hello?
Favorite cricket player, and my favorite game is cricket too, and third is my represented my cricket जो उसमें आया third and fourth sentence. So 3 time cricket is come.
Yeah, okay. 3 times. Yeah, you're correct. And now, so my point of explaining this particular technique is, you can continue finding other words once you have this declared with values with I mean on your pen and paper. Let us say that if you go from starting and ending, and if you do not have these values pre-assigned to yourself, you must be remembering well, because once you calculate this, you must be having a rough idea at some corner of your mind, and you will be well aware of the values that each variable or each word has. Say we had my has 4 here, and let us say in some 10th sentence you will be getting my coach. So again we get a my here, so immediately you can add 1 here, because you remember that you had 4 in your very first, as this particular process is done in the very start of the question. There is high probability that you will remember these values till the end of paragraph. So this is what my personal suggestion is. You can do, like, in case if you are given a paragraph and are asked to find out the maximum number of words, the maximum word that has been repeated, then you can follow this particular trick of comparing first sentence words with the other words. And now now coming to discuss about the actual content of week of the lecture 2.6. It is that we can what we can say, like, it is 2.7, right? It is earlier, no, it's 2.6 only. This is similar to the words dataset. This is also similar to words dataset, because even the words dataset had some Monday morning and which is similar to this as well. And the summary of this lecture 2.6 that has been taught by IIT Madras is that we need to maintain counters. These particular things, my favorite game is cricket. These 5 things are called to be counters. So we need to increment the particular value by 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 whenever we find a word being repeated again and again despite reading a new paragraph or new sentence. So we need to maintain counters in order to avoid confusion. There is a high probability that we can make mistakes if there are no counters or such. Let us say that we do not have any counters, like, let us say that we did not declare any of these. Okay, why, instead of erasing, we'll move on to a new page. Let us say that we did not have any counters or such. Just forget about this thing, and now come to a fresh case where we only find the total number of repetitions without using counters. Like, without using counters, we need to visit each and every word only one time. My favorite game, blah 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 blah, and you need to move on like that. There is every possibility that you can make a mistake if you do not maintain a counter. Say for example, here we got my to be repeated for 4 times. If there are no counters, then there is a possibility of misinterpreting that to be 3 or 5 or these are two nearest integers, let us take them into consideration. We could write 3 or 5 for that, and that could lead to a loss of 1 mark for us as well, which is very important. So this is the very main point of maintaining counters, which is to avoid confusion. And now, we got all of us. We got the things like my favorite game is cricket. Let us go with this one. Let us take these 5 entities to be as counters having values 4, 2, 1, 3, 3. Now we need to find out the maximum. We need to find out the word with highest frequency, right? So like in the earlier example, we had to compare the shopping bills values to find out the shop which has been visited the most by every student or by all students. In the similar manner, we need to initialize a variable max here as well, and you need to initialize it to, can someone tell, to 0 or to none? Can somebody give me an answer regarding this? Should the variable max here be 0 or none?
None.
Hello? Yeah. If it is none, can you tell for what category it could be none? The person, I did not see his name. Yeah, can you tell to which category does none belong to? Like assigning none to max is suitable. Can you tell that thing? Okay, fine. I'll just tell you why we need to. There is a possibility of taking 0 and none as well. We need to take none if we are asked to find out the maximum word. If they ask us the word, then the max should be none. If they ask us the count, then it should be 0. Am I clear? Because you see, because you will be dealing with these type of questions in qualifier session as well, where you will be given some options to confuse you. But the main point is that you need to be good at reading the question. Reading a question is 50% solving the problem. That's the main thing that you need to remember while giving an attempt at qualifier. So there is a here we can assign 0 and none. Now I explained the cases of assigning 0 and none. Can you give me a recap to where we can assign this? Can someone tell when we can assign 0 to max? 0. When can we assign 0? Come on guys, somebody speak up now.
How many times it has been repeated?
Yes, you're right. I see that your name is Prince. Yeah, is your original name is also Prince or something? Yeah, fine. Okay, let's not get into that. As Prince said right now, yeah, it's 100% right. If you're asked to find out the number of times, if you're asked to find out the number of times, then you need to initialize max to 0. And if you're asked to find out the word,
Which word is repeated most times?
then it should be none. Am I clear with this example, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see only one person is responding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. This is a good response. I appreciate it. Now, actually, we can the main thing of assigning counters or maintaining counters is that we can like compare the count of each and every quantity or entity. That is a very important step at finding the final value of the variable maximum. So here our main aim is to compare the variable counts, individual counts of variables or entities. Say here we had 4 entities, right? I mean 5 entities. My favorite game is cricket. These are 5 entities and we keep them in a particular order, like 4 is greater than 2, 2 is greater than 1, 1 is less than 3 and 3 is equal to 3, right? So we compare them and we need to arrange them in a particular order. That is the important step of and that's the main advantage of using bins as well, like counters as well. Am I clear with this example? Now let's move on. So the next topic is that max in a single iteration without losing information. You need to concentrate much on this particular caption called without losing information. Can someone tell what does this title actually refer to? Till date we had only dealt with some examples like finding maximum marks, right? Let us take the same example here as well, which is finding maximum marks. What is the general procedure that we do? Can someone please get along with me so that it becomes much interactive?
Each of the cards and check for it. Is it the maximum? Then we have to get the maximum and just start with this.
Yeah. Initially, we need to initialize marks to 0. Let us go from the very initial steps. We should initialize the marks variable to 0. I think this is not good to see. Yes, this is fine. Marks, we initialize it to 0, which is the fundamental step or primary step. Now we read the card marks on a card x dot math. Let us say it is 79. Then what do we do here? We store 79 is greater than 0. So we store 79 in max, right? Am I clear with this so far? Like this is the very big, this is a very basic step. And now what do we immediately do? Do we store this particular information like card number? Let us say this is a card number 1. We do not store the thing or which is card number in order to preserve its order or in order to preserve its identity. We just leave the card there itself. We do not even note down the card number or such for future references in order to place it in some ascending or descending order, which is very important while deciding the ranks or performances of students on some performance scale. So this is what this topic is entirely dependent upon noting down the identity number or the noting down its identity in a particular in the sequence. Let us say the same 79 has come in the third card, and let us say that the first card had 58 and the third card had 77, the second card had 75 and third card is 79. At the very first step we get the max to be 1 and we store that 1 without losing information, like we can place some bookmark or something, and after that we compare 58 is less than 75. So 75 holds the value of max here, and the main step is that we need not note down every card that has been read so far, but we need to note down only the card which possesses the previous value of max here. Here at the very beginning process, or at the very beginning of this process, the max was 0 and later on it was 58. Hence we need to note down the value of the card number of 58 as well, which is 1, and thereafter it went on to 75. It is 2, and let us say that the third card is not 79. Let us say that it is 64. and again 64, but the thing is that 64 is less than 75. We need to take this into consideration only that the card has been read, but not to store its information. We need to store the info related to max only. Okay, am I clear? You need to store the information that takes any updation over max, or the variable max here. See here we had compared it with 75, fine, but we can see that it is 64 is greater than 58 as well. But why didn't we take any consideration or losing information? Why did we lose the information of 64 here? Can please someone make a guess and tell me the answer? Hello? Guys, I expect something from you. Yeah, okay, I'll just tell it again. I myself will tell the answer behind this. The reason behind not considering 64 into our records is that the card number 1 which holds a value 58 is the first value of max, and we need to note down its low information, and the second card had 75, right? So we need to store it in the max information as well. But in case if you think the third card has come in place of second card and second card in place of third card, then we might have stored the value of 64 in max. In that case, we should have stored the information related to second card in the details pane of max as well, because it took a place in the variable max. As the 64 is present in the third position, and it is now compared to the value that maximum possesses or maximum stores. Maximum is 75 is greater than 64. So you need not take the you need not take the information of third card, which is 64, into consideration, and you can just place it in the pile number 2. Okay, am I clear with this explanation? Guys, am I clear? At least this, can you answer this at least?
Sir.
Yeah, fine. Now, what is I'll just give you a short explanation of what this example, or what I had done in this example. We use this process to store the information related to data set which had appeared in the maximum value, but not by, like I said you just now, we only need to store the information which has took a place in the variable called maximum, but not to any other things. Like it could be when it is less than maximum, you need not store its information, but you need to put it in pile 2, which is done with every card as well. So this is what your storing information is. And the second part of this particular lecture is that we need to discuss some applications of the frequency count as well. Like, see, when you get some, one second. Yeah, and now when you have some frequency counts, like as we had taken the previous example, these are the frequency counts, right? 4 2 1, so 4 2, yeah, 4 2 1 3 3. These are the frequency counts, and the main application of frequency count is that we can find the number of occurrences of any entity in a given data set. Am I right here? See here, when we have some frequency counts with us, we can easily and we can find the instances of occurrence quick enough. We can say that my has repeated for 4 times by just having a glance at the final results data set. I mean results data table, and we can say that favorite has repeated for twice, and game has repeated once, ease has repeated 3, and cricket has repeated for 3 times. This is what the main application of frequency count is. We can instantly find the number of times any entity has been repeated once, twice, or thrice, or n number of times. This is the very first application of maintaining a frequency count. And thereafter, the second thing is that, like just now we had discussed regarding the marks of mathematics, right? Max marks, these are the maximum marks, right? So I had said you while explaining this point as well, whenever you need to declare some ranking or something based on performances, then we take this information into consideration. See here we got 58 into our maximum first 75, and then 64 is kept beside. But why did we do so? Because we were only accounting ourselves to max, to the term max here. So we need not take 64 as 75 already is in the place of max where 64 is less than it. Now this particular information, whenever we preserve this information, it helps us in making the data. We can represent the data in either ascending or descending order. This is another advantage or applications of frequency count. Am I clear with this? Can someone give a feedback? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, fine. And now, flowchart for maximum marks. Let us take the same example again. Or let us change this example. Let us take, we need the marks of, I'll change the pen color. Okay, let's go with red. Let us take some marks like 50, 55, 60, 63, 47, 71, 79, 82, 85. From here it is 5. Yeah, another card. It is 87. These are the marks that 10 students have obtained in their unit test, which is for 100 marks. This is conducted for 100 marks, and our sole aim is to find out the maximum marks. And now, how do we find out the maximum marks without developing any algorithm or algorithm or something like that we had done earlier, like iteration? Like we had found out max using iterations, like assigning variables or maintaining counters or taking the frequency counts into consideration or such. Now, this can be done in the process of not storing any variables or not declaring any variables also. But how can we do that? The simple answer is that we can do it using a flowchart. The sole answer is we can use a flowchart. But there are 10 things, but there are 10 quantities here. You might think, oh god, there are 10 quantities. How can we draw a single flowchart for 10 quantities? We need to move on through the flowchart repeatedly. These things might get into your head right now, but I'll clear all of them with a single diagram. Okay. Now, flowchart again. We took the scores data set, and now, as usual, we began like for in the case of a algorithm, we begin counting the cards. We pick up the pile card and do such everything, and we represent the same in the flowchart as well. We start the flowchart, which is start, and now pick up the pile card. I mean, more cards in pile 1. If no, we exit or we terminate. This is the endpoint. And if yes, we read the first card, read the card. This is what we had done right now. We had read the card 50 in the very beginning. And now we store, sorry, here I think we need to assign a variable as well. We need to assign max is equal to 0. That's what another mistake here. I'll redraw this. Start max is equal to 0 and more cards, and this is for exit and this is for start, and this branch goes for yes and this branch goes for no. That you must be very clear. And the main point behind not drawing the symbols, because it would be cumbersome. So now I'm just giving you the steps here, like I'm writing and I'm just noting down here. If there are more cards, what do we do here? We just read the x dot math, right? As we are concerned with only mathematics scores, we read the math score here. X dot math. Now what do? We compare x dot math is greater than max. This is an important step here. As we are concerned, as we are as our final thing is to find out the maximum score, we need to assign this variable max to 0, and this is a very important step here. We need to compare each and every card math score to the max variable. As here internally, what does this mean? 50 is greater than 0. So what do we need to do? We need to store the math score inside the max variable, and then we need to place the card in file 2. Am I clear so far? Hello? And now we move on to this third step again. Okay, and now we move on to the third step here. After keeping it in pile 2, we just come and move on to third step, and if we find more cards, again we read the third card, I mean the next card. Here it is 55, right? So 55 is greater than 50. So what do we do here? What does this imply actually? We need to take this step. We need to store 55 in max, right? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
And again 60 is greater than 55, 63 so on is greater than 60, so 63 holds a max value. And is 47 greater than 63? No, it is not greater than 63. So 63 holds the value till here. And yes, we find out that 71 is greater than 63. So the variable max stores a value of 71 until this card. And we see that 79 again. 79 holds the value of max. and 82 and 85 and 87. And what is the final max marks that we have from our flowchart? It is 87. Yeah, you're 100% right. It is 87. Yes, you can see that the similar result is not similar. The exact same result is obtained using a flowchart even. It is possible by using flowcharts also, and this is what the actual flowchart of finding max marks is. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So with this example, you must be able to understand that using flowcharts also gives the same results. But here, in order to maintain the maximum marks, we need to maintain variables as well. Here we see x.math is a variable which varies for each and every student, and even max is also a variable, and that's it. There is nothing more than these two variables. And now we move on to the next topic and final topic, which is pseudocodes. What is a pseudocode? Can someone please define it for me? I'll be defining you that as it's my responsibility. Can somebody give a rough definition at least of what a pseudocode is?
So it is a textual representation.
Yes, you're 100% right. Is your name Prince or something?
No, Yashwant, sir.
Yeah, good Yashwant. I have good progress. I appreciate
Thank you,
your
sir.
definition. And what Yashwant Raj said right now is 100% right. A pseudocode is a detailed yet readable description of a computer, of an algorithm, or instead we can say it to be of a or it is a readable description of a flowchart rather. As we had discussed about flowcharts in a previous example, so we can say it to be readable description of flowchart. I think you all must be knowing this, as one of your classmates has already said just now. Now, a pseudocode is a detailed yet readable description of what a flowchart must do or flowchart must be doing. Now, pseudocode is in general, it is expressed in a formally styled natural language, not much complicated or something. If you are aware of some programming languages, like you must be like even I had read my C language in my graduation. It is not that complex as a programming language, but it is just a general English. Okay, so then it is expressed in a formally styled natural language, nothing more complex. Pseudocode sometimes it is used as a detailed step in process of developing a program. Like it is not relevant to you, but we also use pseudocodes. Pseudocode is the real fact is that pseudocode plays a crucial role for programmers. So what is the use of the pseudocodes for programmers? That you will be knowing once you get registered into this IITM address program, as you deal with Python in the term 3 or term 4 or something. It depends on your choice. Actually, what do we do is that we take a pen and paper and we understand, or we make a rough note of what the program has to carry out, and we just initialize the program using the pseudocode, and we develop variables and everything, etc., which is the same, similar to computational thinking. So this is what pseudocode actually refers to. Now, can someone tell me why a pseudocode is much preferred over a flowchart?
pseudocode can be directly translated into code. Like it's easier to translate into code.
Pseudocode versus flowchart. Which is better? I need an accurate
Better
answer.
maybe
Yeah. Please
pseudocode may be
carry
better
on.
because
It's a rough
pseudocode
idea.
can be transferred. Pseudocode can be directly transformed to a code. Like it's easier to write the actual code from pseudocode.
Yes, you're 100% right. And any other things other than this? And we will consider your reason also. It's very much genuine. And thereafter, anybody any other reasons or advantages over a flowchart? Now I'll just tell you. Flowchart. It is very time consuming. You see, my explanation with a flowchart took some 7 minutes around, while I explained all of this within a very few minutes or seconds. And you understood, and you are understanding now, and you got the same understanding. But while we dealt with the flowchart, it took more time. So one of the main limitation of flowchart is that a flowchart is time consuming and it is laborious as well. Laborious, what does this word laborious refers to? It requires human human resource, right? We need this, everybody. In order to build a flowchart, we need some people. So, and also a flowchart consists various symbols like diamond box, rectangle, circle, and a programmer there is a chance of misinterpretation of a programmer whenever the person who prepares flowcharts makes a simple mistake also. So a flowchart is too delicate or sensitive towards symbols, right? You think that if and you call someone who is very perfect at drawing flowcharts, there's every possibility that even if he misses some arrow is the most fundamental thing in a flowchart, and even if he indicates an arrow towards the wrong direction, let us say for a diamond box there will be two branches, one for yes and one for no. Let us say he altered them, no to yes and yes to no. Then the entire flowchart gives a wrong interpretation to the programmer, and they finally end up making a wrong program or process. This is one of the main headaches of flowchart. And thereafter, there are no standards which determine the amount of detail. Like you cannot understand the standards, right? Inside a flowchart, what all would be there inside a flowchart? Inside a flowchart, there are variables, entities, scores. I mean, variables are scores only. Variables, entities, something like flow. I mean the flow of process. Do you find any more other than these three? Can you find any other things other than these three from a flowchart? There is no chance of finding any other things that are present more than these three in a flowchart. But whereas in the case of a pseudocode, you can find out the standards which determine the amount of work or the amount of effort that you should be able to find out at the end of process. But using a flowchart, that's why many prefer flowchart as it directly gives the result very easily without going into much details. But with the help of a pseudocode, you can completely move on into the process into much depth or in detail. You can take the pseudocode into much detail so that you can understand every part or every core of the process. This is the main advantage of a pseudocode. Is my explanation of pseudocode on about choosing pseudocode over variable or over flowchart, is it good? I mean, do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, fine. I think there are some 10 members or something around. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Let us forget about others. Even the ones, if you are listening, you will be benefited. That's it. We cannot do for the ones who left the class. Okay. Now, what are the steps in building a pseudocode? Can someone tell them? Steps of building a pseudocode. What are the steps in building a pseudocode?
So first
We need
we
to,
have to, yeah,
yeah, you can give your answer.
yeah, we have to start. Then count will be appear.
Yeah.
Then what is the reason for it? Like that, it will goes.
Yes, you're 100%
Start
right. Yeah, even the second person, your voice is breaking something.
variable.
Yeah, you need to
First,
initialize variable.
start. We
Yeah,
will start then initialize variables and then like
yeah.
the conditions in the statements.
Yes, you're 100% right. I remember your voice. You are Prince, right? Rather, I think you must be Prince or Yashwantra or something.
I, I, I am
Yeah,
Prince. I am
yeah. I
Prince.
remember your voice from your last class. Yeah, the first thing is we need to begin by declaring variables, and the second step is that we need to repeat certain steps. Repetition of steps, but under a restriction condition. Whenever there is a condition, we need to repeat some steps to get a result. This is also what one of your peers had told just now. Now, and the third step, which none of you had told, is that we need to mark the start and end points. You see, because if we start the process here, like this is a flowchart, sorry. Now the pseudocode starts here. This is the step 1. Step 1, we declare variables, which everybody just give an answer. And step 2, let us say there is some condition. And step 3, what do we need to do here? We need to carry out the count and something and everything. And step 4, we need to end the process. But now I said you start and end of variables, right? Start and end of a repeated block. Like here inside this conditional thing, we have some internal blocks also indicating these two symbols. The lines which are present in between these two symbols represent a block of code or information. This is the start point and this is the end point. We need to denote them as well inside a pseudocode. So these three are the particular processes of building a pseudocode. Like these are the steps of building a pseudocode. First thing is we need to initialize the pseudocode by declaring variables, and then we need to repeat the steps which come under particular condition when satisfied. And even that the internal part of the second thing is that even the third rule is also internal part of second rule, but it plays a very important role. This thing we need to indicate the start and end points of a particular condition, or we need to mark the start and end of a repeated block either. We call this particular thing, this thing enter, this is called as block. Okay, so we need to show the start and end of a block. These are what the steps of building a pseudocode is. Now the final topic of day is pseudocode with filtering. Okay, so let us take that we want to find out the students from Chennai. or something. No, there is no gender something, but only students. Please remember this example. Only students, but not any male or female. This is not into consideration. Chennai. So now, what do we need to do here? We just start as one of your classmates said, we need to start it with by declaring variables, which is the student is x, right? X dot city. We need to keep these variables in mind. X dot city, student name, card number. These are the three things that we have to keep in mind. And now we start by declaring the basic step in developing a pseudocode is also step 1. Step 1 is also start here, which is similar to flowchart. And now step 2. What is step 2 here? Can someone please tell me the step 2 over here?
Count will be 0, sir.
Yes, you're 100% right. As we are confined with finding out the number of students, we need to initialize count to 0. Yes, what your friend told is also right. I mean, it is only right, not also. And the third step is that we need to check here. This is what the term filtering appears here. We use the word filtering with pseudocode, and now this here using a conditional. We use a conditional statement if here, and then we apply the filter. So this inside the pseudocode, now we are applying a filter. If x dot city is Chennai.
While statement, no? While there is more cards in pile 1.
Yeah, like that thing you see, you guys know that already. That's why I had to skip that. If you wanted that, I could write that even.
While more cards in pile 1, then we check the if statement. If x dot city is Chennai, then we update it.
Yeah. I understand that. I think that you know them internally. That's why I did not write that. More
Yes,
cards. Instead of writing this thing, what we can write here actually is that read the card. So I'm writing this particular step keeping in mind that you guys know the above thing what one of your friends said. More cards. This is the step.
more cards. While more.
Yes. That is the internal thing, and therefore I had to write this directly. Okay, I think that's not a big problem for you guys over here. If x dot city is Chennai, right? So what do we do here? Actually, this is I'm much habituated to program. If x dot city is Chennai, what do we do here? We increment count, right? Count is equal to count plus 1, and thereafter we exit it. This is what filtering in a pseudocode completely refers to. Am I clear with this example? Did you guys understand what filtering in a pseudocode matters or means? And the step 5. What would be step 5 here? We keep a card X in pile 2. Right? We need not reinitialize something to 0 or such, but rather we put it into pile 2, and then again the step 6 would be repeat step 3. This is what the 6th step would be, okay? Because we are having n number of cards, we need to repeat the step 3 again, read the card. Like this is the internal thing, more cards, from there you have to come here. Am I clear with this example of filtering?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, with this, today's class is over, and we had completed the CT class 2. I mean, week 2 with this explanation part. Do you guys have any doubts in the activity questions or such? If you have such questions, you can just ask me right now. Yeah, somebody is asking something. Oh my God! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there are only 9 students. This is very bad. Yeah, I'm happy for you all 9 members who are present over here. Yeah,
Sir,
okay. Yeah,
I have a
somebody.
doubt.
Yeah,
What is an assignment statement?
what assignment statement?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, an assignment statement. I think I had discussed it earlier. Does anyone remember that we had discussed this earlier?
And is one equal and equality is double equal.
Yeah, I think and I think you only said this point in the previous class also. Somebody, I think Prince has told this. Actually, assignment operator is this. When there is a single is equal to symbol, we call it to be assignment operator, because you see, we have assigned count to 0. Using this operator, we assign the value of 0 to count, right? It is very similar to, not similar to mathematics, it is just mathematics. You just assign a particular value to a variable. You assign a value to variable using assignment operators. Okay. Urja Banerjee, I think she was the one who asked this. Is this clear, Urja Banerjee?
Yes, sir.
Are you having any other doubts?
Sir. Yeah.
Sir, I have doubt in equality operation. That means
Equality operation, yeah, fine. That would be also fine. The equality operation has 2 is equal to symbols, and the general result of this equality operation is either true or false. See, what this equality operator does is, it checks whether we call these things to be operators, and the quantities on the left hand side and right hand side are called operands. These are called operands. Okay, I'll rather write NDS and operators ORS. ORS stands for operators and NDS stands for operands. This equality operand operator just checks whether the values present on both LHS and RHS are the same or not. This is what the equality operator checks for. Am I clear? If
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
if they are the same, it returns a true. If they are not same, it returns a false. And this is what happens in a flowchart also. One branch for no and one branch for yes. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ashwant. Any other doubts that you have? Okay, fine. Anybody, any other doubts?
Is any other sign of false?
What?
Is any other sign of false?
False.
Not
Is not
that
equal
quantity.
to. Is not
True.
equal to.
Yeah, okay. If it is not is equal to, we just indicate using this. We just place an exclamatory mark, and after that there should be an is equal to symbol. Okay. This is the symbol used for not is equal to. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, fine. Any other doubts, anyone? If there are no, yeah. Okay. If there are no doubts, we'll just end the class hereby. If there are any doubts, you can open up. Okay, fine then. With this, we are ending our class for today. Okay, good night everybody. Take rest and may you all succeed in the qualifier. All the best, guys. Good night. Bye
Thank you, sir.
everybody.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.